All right, 3-point perspective. All we need today are orthogonals. So you really need to know what you're doing. All right, let's start by putting a zenith, a point way up here. And I'm going to actually just draw a piece of paper or something that's supposed to emulate or look like your finished piece of paper right there. So in other words, I'm keeping this vanishing point off the page. And right about here, I'm going to make my eye level line. And also keep my vanishing points well off the page. So it's very similar to 2-point perspective. In fact, if you did 2-point, you can do 3-point. Here's the major difference, the only difference. Instead of dropping in a perfectly vertical leading edge, today it's an orthogonal. So instead of making it straight up and down, I'm going to do this at a bit of an angle. So that's my leading edge. That's my first corner coming toward me. Now the rest, basically like what we did earlier, 2-point perspective. We go to the left. And you could go all the way to the point, or just like I am, just send them slightly over to the left and then over to the right. Of course, today, to complete this building, you don't need just straight up and down verticals. You need orthogonals. If you happen to make one of these orthogonals right underneath your vanishing point, the zenith, you might end up with a vertical. So erase any orthogonals you don't need. Might as well get rid of this eye level line as it goes through your building. And congratulations, if this is your first time doing it, you might have just made your first 3-point perspective shape. Or form, I should say. I'm going to drop in another vertical orthogonal. Aimed up toward my zenith. And I'm just going to freehand this. I'm going to go over to the left and over to the right. Just like we did before. I'm going to stack one right on top. And again, when you finish this or complete this form, go toward the zenith. So once you do a few of these, it's like riding a bike. It's no big deal. As long as you can remember with 3-point, anything that would be generally really straight up and down vertical, today it angles toward the zenith. Things on the ground, boy, that's just 2-point perspective. You don't even need this point up here. So let's say you had a road coming through here, or a sidewalk, or other things going this way. Because we're not giving this any height, it's basically 2-point perspective. What's strange is if you had something like a telephone pole or even a tree, it too would be at a bit of an angle. So watch as I make this tree trunk angle up toward the zenith here. So anything that would generally be standing up has to angle. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this, folks. I'm trying to show you the basic formula. But why don't we add a few details? Like I'm just going to put some details on this side and try to make these lines go toward my left vanishing point, just to reinforce what's going on here. Ooh, you might get an accidental horizontal if you're right at eye level. I think I'll just put a door right down here, but I'm trying to aim for the zenith up here. Let's zoom back out. I'll just make a sign right here. Now it's important to note that this leading edge that I made, my first line, is below the eye level line. If it were above, well, you might see the bottom of the building, which would be weird. You never walk down the street and see the bottom of a building. It would make it look like it's floating up in the air. Or maybe you want to do that. You know, maybe you want to have, let's just try one. Maybe there's a building way up here that's blasting off from Earth. Kind of strange, but there it is. I can see the bottom of this building. So you can do that if you want to create some fantastic worlds where things are floating up or raining down. But all of these lines I just made, and I just sort of freehanded them, they're all going to one of these 3 points. So you really need to know what you're doing. A good, firm grasp of 2-point perspective will set you up for success for 3. But if you want to make floating worlds, floating buildings, you can totally do that. All right, let's just try a different way. Let's try to look down instead of looking up. So essentially, folks, I'm going to work upside down like this. But I'll just show you a different scenario. So let's use one more sketch page in case you wanted to try one with a nadir. So right down at the bottom of my page, instead of a zenith, we have from the Islamic the nadir. They gave us so many of our math concepts. So I'm going to try to draw my drawing way up here inside this box. I know it's down low, but I'm going to put this right at the bottom of the page. And I'm going to put my eye level line, oops, it's a little too high. Put my eye level line right about here, aka the horizon, basically. So out here, outside of my page, are my 2 vanishing points. So this time, when you draw your first leading edge or that corner coming toward you, we'll do a couple real quick. You could do one right at eye level, so you wouldn't see the top or bottom. So notice that this is angling down toward my nadir, my dear. And then just like 2-point, you go to the left. And you go to the right. And every line is an orthogonal. So to complete this fella, we've got to angle it downward. Ooh, I'm right over the nadir. If you're right over the top of it, well, you'll get a kind of an accidental vertical. So this one's perfectly vertical. So I'm going to put a pyramid on top of this. Oh, you know what? I'll just make it a normal house. I'm just going to do my X trick real quick. And I'm going to go right through the center of this toward my nadir vanishing point. So I can put a peak on this house. Just like we did with 1-point perspective, this stuff works in 2 and 3. And I decide maybe right about here is where my peak is. And then I'm going to send this back for the ridge of this roof, back toward my left vanishing point. And I can complete that roof with another parallel line to create this inclined plane. So that's a little complicated, but I don't know, it looks kind of cool because every one of those lines is an orthogonal. Ooh. So that's at eye level, but let's try one below eye level, like we're flying over the top of it. I'm going to draw one right down here. Again, this is angled toward my lower vanishing point. And I'm going to go to the left. And to the right. Hopefully this is starting to click if you were hanging in there with the 2-point. Of course, we need 2 more lines to finish this. 2 orthogonals that go down toward the nadir. And in this scenario, we have to do the old switcheroo with our corners so that we can find how this top works. So again, we just go from this corner over to the left, and this one to the right, and where they intersect, we get that last corner. So this one we can see the top on. It's like we're kind of flying over the top of it. I think you would agree. Kind of makes some kind of odd looking, dramatic looking, I would say, views. So maybe you want to add, just really quick, a door or something, or a window. Even in 3-point perspective, your X trick still works. So if you had a large window here, for example, you could divide it in half. I'm going to add a fun little detail here. Since I can see the top of this, I think I'll make someone standing up here. So I'm actually going to draw a reseating edge here, a little edge right there. So it looks like this rooftop has a little void. Let's make this more easy to see. So this is a little bit ambitious. Hopefully you're still with me. But now you could have someone that's, well, maybe they're hanging out right here, looking out. And again, anything on the ground, folks, is going to be just using these 2 points because it will be flat. You don't need to give it any height. So, for example, I could have lines coming this way, and lines going this way, and this way, and that way. So you could construct yourself a path that might take you from one building to the next. These are all just made by using the orthogonals. So I'm not going to do too much more on this. I hope you've got the formula. That's really what I'm after. Obviously, you could put the same rules apply for bricks and windows and doors and everything. Everything we've done in 1 and 2 point. Except today, I mean, it's just all orthogonals. Everything goes to one of those points. I'll show you one quick interior, and then we're done. And I'm done talking about perspective. You guys got to show me you can do some of this stuff. So if you wanted to do an interior, let's work horizontal this time. Last one, and I'm not going to do both zenith and nadir. I'll just do nadir, because it's the same thing upside down. So maybe this is your piece of paper, and your vanishing point, or I'm sorry, your eye level line is here. Points are way outside. We're going to spend about 2 minutes on this. Because if you did 2 point, you can handle this. So I hope you're getting this to work. I'll check them out later, but 3 point's kind of fun, right? And it kind of shows that you understand perspective. Like you know about eye level and 3 different points and orthogonals, where they're going. So pat yourself on the back if you're still hanging with me, because I didn't learn this till I got to college. So, all right, so I'm going to drop in a reseating edge now, and I'm going to make it right about here. You know, I'll just cross it over half and half over my eye level line. But this, of course, is pointing downward. And then it's like what we did yesterday. 2 point perspective. Of course, remember we go away from the vanishing point to construct our room. So this is going to look a little warped, but it will look kind of wild. So this is supposed to be our ceiling and our floor, a couple walls. Of course, you could flip this whole thing upside down and have a different view. So I'm just going to add a couple quick details, folks. For example, a door. You know, I've been telling you all week the doors stand up straight. Well, today, you could have your door, today only, you could have your door angle like this, because these lines should be going down toward this nadir down here. The top of the door goes to the left vanishing point, since it's on this right wall. So if you want to make an inside scene that looks really kind of warped and strange, but accurate in 3 point perspective, that would be cool. So again, all your same things like molding up here, crown molding, base molding, windows, artwork, anything. Same rules apply. Just keep in mind, folks, anything that would be vertical today is orthogonal. That's it. So I'm just going to add a couple more details for just a minute. You can do the same, and then I think you've got it. So if you feel comfortable with this and you want to try it, it's kind of cool. This could be your final project, a 3-point perspective drawing. Keep in mind, I don't need to see an interior or a building like we just did. Think about possibilities. You could do cool submarines and stuff going underwater, stuff in outer space. You could draw objects. In fact, tomorrow when we start class, I'm going to show you no less than 100 examples of what can be done. Again, things on the floor, you don't need height. You're just using the vanishing points, left or right. And that's about it. If you want more, come see me on an individual basis. I'll help you out.